Your 20s are when you either set yourself up for financial freedom or lock yourself into decades of struggle. And the difference comes down to 8 specific purchases. Not random spending, not deprivation, 8 strategic buys that compound into serious wealth, while everyone else is still wondering why they're broke at 35. Let me show you exactly what to buy and why it matters more than you think. Right now, you're probably watching everyone around you make terrible financial decisions and wondering if you're the crazy one for thinking differently. Your friends are financing $40,000 cars they can't afford. Your coworkers are spending $200 a week on takeout and bottle service. Your Instagram feed is full of people your age traveling to Bali, wearing designer clothes, and living in expensive apartments. And here's what's messing with your head. They all look successful. They look like they've figured something out that you haven't. So you start questioning yourself. Maybe you should loosen up. Maybe you should enjoy your 20s. Maybe you should stop being so uptight about money and just live a little. But here's what you don't see behind those Instagram posts. You don't see the credit card debt. You don't see the anxiety about making rent. You don't see the reality that most of those people are one emergency away from financial disaster. They're not building wealth. They're building a house of cards that will collapse the moment anything goes wrong.
Meanwhile, the people who actually become wealthy in their 30s and 40s aren't doing what everyone else is doing. They're making different purchases. Strategic purchases. Purchases that don't look impressive on social media, but compound into financial freedom while everyone else is still struggling. Your 20s aren't about looking rich. They're about becoming rich. And that requires buying completely different things than what most people your age are buying. The gap between those who understand this and those who don't becomes a canyon by age 40. I'm going to walk you through 8 specific purchases that separate people who build real wealth from people who stay broke. These aren't theories. These are purchases that consistently show up in the lives of people who achieve financial independence before their hair goes gray. Some of these will surprise you. Some will seem boring. And at least one will probably make you uncomfortable. But every single one has been proven to accelerate wealth building when you're young enough for compound interest to work its magic. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to buy in your 20s to set yourself up for wealth in your 30s, 40s, and beyond. And you'll understand why the people making different choices now will be making very different money later. The first thing you need to buy is shares in index funds, specifically through a Roth IRA. This is the foundation of everything else. Without this, none of the other purchases matter nearly as much. Here's why this purchase is non-negotiable. Compound interest is the most powerful wealth-building force in the universe. And your 20s are when you have maximum time to let it work. Every year you wait costs you exponentially more than the year before. If you invest $300 per month starting at age 23 and an S&P 500 index fund averaging 10% annual returns, you'll have $1.4 million by age 60. That's $133,000 of your own money, turning into $1.4 million. But if you wait until age 30 to start that same $300 monthly investment, you end up with $700,000 instead. Waiting 7 years costs you $700,000. The beauty of index funds is they're idiot-proof. You don't need to pick stocks. You don't need to time the market. You don't need to watch CNBC or understand complicated financial strategies. You just buy shares of the entire market, let it grow, and ignore it for decades. And when you do this through a Roth IRA, every dollar of growth is completely tax-free. That $1.4 million at age 60, all yours. No taxes on the gains. That's an extra $300,000 to $400,000 you keep instead of handing it to the IRS.
The key is automation. I always say this in my videos. Set up automatic transfers the day after you get paid. The money moves before you see it, before you can spend it, before you can talk yourself out of it. You're paying your future self first, and your future self will thank you. The second purchase is a side hustle starter kit. Not a business, not a complicated venture, just the basic tools you need to start making money outside your day job. This might be a camera if you're doing photography, a laptop and software if you're freelancing, tools if you're doing handyman work, a domain name and hosting if you're building websites, whatever equipment you need to turn a skill into income. Here's why this matters. Your 20s are when you have the most energy, the fewest obligations, and the greatest risk tolerance. You can try things that might fail without devastating consequences. And when something works, the extra income you generate can be invested, accelerating your wealth building exponentially. But most people approach side hustles wrong. They try to start something completely random instead of building on what they already know. If you're good with cars, start there. If you understand social media, offer management services. If you can write, start freelancing. The best side hustles leverage your existing skills, not force you to learn everything from scratch. The goal isn't to replace your day job immediately. The goal is to create a second income stream that you can invest. An extra $500 per month from a side hustle invested consistently becomes $350,000 over 30 years. That's not just extra money, that's retirement security.
And here's the hidden benefit nobody talks about. Side hustles teach you business skills your day job never will. You learn sales, marketing, customer service, pricing, and problem solving. These skills compound your earning potential for life. The third purchase is reliable, cheap transportation. Notice I didn't say a nice car. I said transportation. The difference between these two concepts is worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. Most people your age think they need a nice car to look successful, so they finance $35,000 vehicles, making $500 monthly payments for 6 years while the car depreciates by $10,000 the moment they drive it off the lot. This is financial suicide disguised as adulting. Instead, buy a 3 to 5-year-old Honda Civic, Toyota Corolla, or Mazda 3 for $12,000 to $15,000. Pay cash if possible. If you need to finance, do it for the shortest term you can afford. These cars will run for 200,000 miles with basic maintenance, they're cheap to insure, and they don't scream, "I'm trying too hard." Let me show you the real math. Avoiding a $500 monthly car payment and investing that money at 8% returns for 30 years creates $680,000. That's not a typo. The car payment you avoid in your 20s compounds into over $500,000 by your 50s.
But the benefit goes beyond just the money you save. When you don't have a car payment, you have financial flexibility. You can leave a job you hate. You can take a lower paying position with better growth potential. You can start a business without the pressure of making a payment every month. Financial freedom starts with eliminating unnecessary fixed expenses, and car payments are usually the biggest unnecessary expense people have. Your car's job is to get you from point A to point B reliably. That's it. It's not supposed to impress anyone or make you feel successful. Save the nice car for when you're actually wealthy, not when you're pretending to be. The fourth purchase is real estate. And yes, you can afford this even if you think you can't. The key is understanding creative strategies that don't require massive down payments or perfect credit. Real estate accelerates wealth through 3 mechanisms: appreciation, leverage, and other people paying your mortgage. When you buy a property, you're controlling a $300,000 asset with maybe $15,000 down. That's leverage. As the property appreciates, you gain equity on the full value, not just your down payment. And if you're smart about it, tenants or roommates are covering your housing costs while you build wealth. The strategy that works best in your 20s is house hacking. Buy a duplex, triplex, or fourplex using an FHA loan with as little as 3.5% down. Live in one unit, rent out the others. Your tenants cover most or all of your mortgage while you live essentially for free and build equity.
Can't afford a multi-unit? Buy a single-family home and rent out the extra bedrooms. You might not love having roommates, but if they're paying $1,500 per month combined and your mortgage is $1,800, you're living for $300 a month while building equity in an appreciating asset. Over 30 years, real estate can create more wealth than almost any other investment available to regular people. The difference between someone who bought property in their 20s and someone who didn't is often $500,000 to $1 million in net worth by their 50s. And here's the psychological benefit. Owning real estate forces you to think long term. You can't panic sell when the market dips. You can't check the value every day like you can with stocks. You're locked into a long-term wealth building strategy whether you like it or not. The fifth purchase is education, but not the kind that puts you $100,000 in debt. I'm talking about books, courses, certifications, and workshops that increase your earning power without destroying your financial future. A $20 book can completely change how you think about money. A $200 online course can teach you a skill that increases your income by $10,000 per year. A $2,000 certification can make you more valuable in your industry, leading to promotions and raises that compound over decades. The key is being strategic about what you learn. Focus on high-income skills: sales, marketing, coding, design, writing, project management, data analysis. These skills are valuable across industries and give you leverage in negotiations. But avoid the trap of buying every course that promises to make you rich. The internet is full of people selling $997 programs next to rented Lamborghinis. Instead, learn from people who have actually built successful businesses or careers in areas you're interested in, not from people whose only business is selling courses.
Your brain is most adaptable in your 20s, which means you can learn new skills faster now than you ever will again. Take advantage of that window. Every skill you acquire becomes part of your earning potential for the rest of your life. The sixth purchase is plane tickets, but with a specific strategy. Travel in your 20s isn't about Instagram photos or bragging rights. It's about building confidence, expanding your network, and gaining perspective that makes you more valuable professionally. When you navigate foreign cities, communicate across language barriers, and solve problems in unfamiliar environments, you develop self-reliance that serves you forever. You also meet people from different industries and backgrounds who might become valuable connections later. The smart way to do this is maximizing credit card rewards. Get a travel rewards card, use it for your normal expenses, pay it off in full every month, and collect points. Use those points for free or heavily discounted travel. This strategy also builds your credit score, which becomes valuable when you're ready to buy real estate. But here's the rule. Travel should never come at the expense of investing. If you're choosing between a $3,000 vacation and investing that money, invest it. Travel on points. Travel cheaply. Travel strategically, but never sacrifice your financial future for temporary experiences. The goal is to travel in ways that expand your capabilities and connections without derailing your wealth building plan. Done right, travel in your 20s pays dividends for decades through the people you meet and the confidence you build.
The seventh purchase is your health. This sounds vague, but it's actually the most concrete investment you can make because your health determines everything else. How hard you can work, how long you can pursue your goals, how much energy you have for your side hustle, whether you'll actually be around to enjoy the wealth you're building. I'm not talking about expensive gym memberships or personal trainers, although those might be worth it if you'll actually use them. I'm talking about the basics most people your age completely ignore. Good food instead of fast food and energy drinks, consistent sleep instead of all-nighters, and some form of regular exercise. Your 20s are when you establish habits that either support or sabotage your goals for decades. If you're constantly exhausted, stressed, or dealing with preventable health problems, it doesn't matter how smart your investment strategy is. You won't have the energy to execute it. The hidden cost of poor health isn't just medical bills. It's the opportunity cost of not working at full capacity, not taking advantage of opportunities when they arise, and potentially spending your later years dealing with preventable issues instead of enjoying your wealth. Think of health investments as performance enhancers for everything else you're trying to accomplish. Better sleep means better decisions. Better nutrition means consistent energy. Regular exercise means better stress management and mental clarity. These aren't luxuries, they're requirements for building the life you actually want.
The eighth and final purchase is an emergency fund in a high-yield savings account. This is your financial foundation, your safety net, your I don't have to panic when life happens fund. Save $5,000 to $10,000 in a separate high-yield savings account, earning 4 to 5% interest. This money isn't for investing. It's not for opportunities. It's for emergencies only. Car repairs, medical bills, job loss, unexpected expenses that would otherwise force you into credit card debt. Here's why this matters. Without an emergency fund, every setback becomes a financial disaster. Your car breaks down. You put it on a credit card at 24% interest. And suddenly, you're paying for that $1,200 repair for the next 3 years while bleeding money to interest charges. But with an emergency fund, emergencies are just inconveniences. You pull from the fund, handle the problem, then rebuild it. You're not going into debt. You're not derailing your investment plan. You're not stressed about how to cover unexpected expenses. The emergency fund also gives you psychological freedom. You can negotiate harder for raises because you're not desperate. You can leave toxic jobs because you have a buffer. You can take calculated risks with your career because you're not living on the edge. Once you have this foundation, everything else becomes easier. You can invest aggressively because you know you have a safety net. You can pursue opportunities because you're not paralyzed by fear of the unknown. Financial confidence starts with knowing you can handle whatever life throws at you.
Here's what ties all 8 of these purchases together. They're all about playing the long game while everyone else is optimizing for short-term gratification. Every single one requires you to think differently than most people your age. While everyone else is focused on looking successful right now, you're focused on actually becoming successful over time. While they're buying things that depreciate, you're buying things that appreciate. While they're making decisions that feel good today, you're making decisions that compound into freedom tomorrow. This is where compound interest applies to more than just money. Every good decision you make in your 20s compounds into better outcomes later. Every dollar you invest grows exponentially. Every skill you develop makes you more valuable. Every relationship you build opens doors years down the road. Every month you avoid unnecessary payments frees up capital for wealth building. But the opposite is also true. Every bad decision compounds into worse outcomes. Every dollar you don't invest is decades of lost growth. Every skill you don't develop limits your earning potential. Every unnecessary payment locks you into financial struggle. The gap between these two paths seems small at 25. By 35, it's massive. By 45, it's a completely different life. Listen, your 20s are not about deprivation. They're not about living like a monk and avoiding all enjoyment. They're about being strategic with your money so you can have actual freedom later instead of fake freedom now. The people who look successful in their 20s with the nice cars and expensive apartments, most of them will still be struggling in their 40s. But the people who make these 8 strategic purchases in their 20s, they're the ones who actually achieve financial independence while they're still young enough to enjoy it.
You can buy index funds, or you can buy things that make you look wealthy on Instagram. You can invest in side hustles and education, or you can spend every dollar you earn on immediate gratification. You can buy cheap, reliable transportation, or you can finance a car that drains your wealth for years. The choice is yours. But the consequences of that choice compound for decades. 10 years from now, you'll either thank yourself for making smart purchases today, or you'll wish you had. So make the choice that your future self will appreciate. Start buying these 8 things, and watch what happens to your net worth while everyone else is still wondering why they're broke. Now go set up that Roth IRA, and I'll see you in the next one.